Kusat, do you think the Warriors' dynasty is on the line tonight?
Yeah, very much so. How we look at them, what their legacy will be. There's been different iterations of this team, but Andre Iguodala brought up the core. I think one of the most important words you mentioned in leading us into this is they're aged. So even though if you have the same guys back, and Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, we're already seeing this in the way in which Draymond Green hasn't had quite the same impact throughout the course of the finals. Andre Iguodala not having quite the same impact. Sean Livingston, one of those players early on that who knows how much longer he'll have left. And then, of course, the big question of Kevin Durant. And I think most of us, if we are, betting on will he take the field or will he be at Golden State, he probably will be elsewhere. So, yeah, absolutely. And they could put together a magical storybook finish to this season, coming back from a 3-1 deficit. They did it, of course, in Western Conference Finals against Oklahoma City. A few years back, they've seen it done to them with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I do think how we remember this group, a lot of it is because of injuries, because of the players they don't have. They lack depth because of the guys they needed to sign and where things sit financially. But this will be a true testament to what they are at this point.
And if they were to come back, then you put this 5 years against any 5 years ever for any team.
100%.
You have 4 out of 5 titles. You have the 1 year you didn't win the title. You had the most regular season wins ever. You would three-peat with a comeback from 3-1 in the finals. The only time that's ever been done in NBA history was to you in this stretch. That's what happens if they somehow find a way to win it. And for Kevin Durant, assuming part of the comeback is he comes back and plays well, if not extraordinarily, it is almost the ideal way for Kevin Durant's season to have ended, which was, oh, y'all didn't need me, even when I was averaging 39, 5, and 5. This guy said you're a luxury, not a necessity. Now, how much do you need me? How do you like me now? But if they don't win, then it was an unbelievable run and a great run. But there's a real question of, was this 5-year run even better than LeBron's 5-year run? LeBron in 5 years won 3 titles, won 2 MVPs, went to 5 NBA finals. The Warriors in 5 years would have won 3 titles, had a couple MVPs, both by Steph. They went to 5 finals. They would have been almost identical from LeBron's last 3 years with the Heat and 2 with the Cavs to what the Warriors are through right now. And the only reason I'm not going to say yes if they lose tonight or Thursday or Sunday, it's over, is if they get back to the NBA Finals next year, then I don't think you say the dynasty's over, just like it didn't end in 2016. But that's going to be hard to get back next year when we know what team they're going to have. Like, with respect to Andre Iguodala, who's one of my favorite players, I'll tell you one of the reasons he's coming back. Hard to make $17 million doing something else. And when he makes 17 and Draymond makes 18 and Klay's about to make 30 and Steph makes 40, that's $105 million. The cap's 109. That's assuming Livingston retires. So they don't have a lot of flexibility to add someone major. So, yeah, the dynasty can go on life support tonight, and then they can have a chance to resuscitate it next season, but with a far greater margin of difficulty or degree of difficulty next season, assuming they lose tonight, Thursday, or Sunday.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable run. It's been remarkable to cover them. Even before they added KD, they were remarkable. They played with a sense in basketball that, remember, this system can't win. You can't shoot 3-pointers. You can't play at that type of pace. You can't play basketball in the NBA and be efficient doing this. We've seen people for the year struggle doing it. Somehow, they put enough passing with the 3-point shooting and elite defense and special-type players that they were able to do it. So that makes them special. As far as the argument, were they better than LeBron? That's for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We won't have nothing else to talk about. But this is the most dominant 5 years that I have seen. And I watched Michael Jordan. I was right there with Michael. I was there with Kobe and Shaq. I saw LeBron and them had season tickets. I mean, this fight, as far as the lack of hope of anybody else winning, I haven't seen an era like that. So to me, when they took the air out of the ball as if they were going to win almost all the time. Before we started the season, it's just a matter of, oh, we're going to crown them to be champion. No, we didn't have that in any other year. So it's been a special, special time. And Kevin Durant, when he leaves, that era will change. Their core group will be back. They will be a playoff team. Can they make a deep playoff run? That will be the question for next year's Warriors.
And I think it's important you bring, I mean, they really changed the way in which the game has played and how many other teams have tried to replicate their style and the movement. And that was said, the jump shooters and a jump shooting team cannot win the title. And we've seen the way in which Steph Curry and Klay Thompson have often been talked about as one of, if not one of the best backcourts. So there are so many things that we will remember in the legacy that they will have, which is still continuing to be written. But I do think at this point there's going to be a lot of questions at when this ends.
Who do you think's coming back next year in the West? I'm just curious.
In the West or for the Warriors?
For the which team do you think will get back to? Which team do you think get back to the finals?
At this point, I would look at it. I think there's so much movement that could be made, but I would bet on the Warriors at this point, just because, yeah. And to your point, that's a great question, Jenna. They still will be one of the favorites, but who do the Clippers get? What happens with the Lakers? How does Houston change things up? What does Oklahoma City look like? You know, is Portland and Denver? Those are two teams.
And regardless, the road will be tougher because the 8th seed, the 7th seed, the 6th seed, I believe will be a lot better than they've been previous years.
And, Chris, you can believe, and I think a lot of people probably do, that even if they lose this title, this is the best 5-year stretch that there's ever been. But it will not be definitive. There will be teams that were the Lakers of the early 2000s say, hold up, we won 3 in a row and also got back to an NBA Finals. The Spurs in the 2000s.
Everyone will be able to argue, but I'll just tell you, it was an argument for second place in these last 5 years. In those eras, there were legitimate championship caliber. I mean, you could make an argument for several teams. That's what I say is the difference.
Sure, agreed. But what will put that in stone is a 4th title. Because without the 4th title, we can say it was an argument for second place, except 2 of the 5 years, it was a fight for first place. And there's a bunch of teams that have won 3 titles in 5 years. Spurs did it 03, 05, 07. Lakers three-peated. The Bulls did it obviously twice. The Lakers in the 80s. This is going for history in a multitude of ways now over the next 6 days for Golden State, with their toughest test in these finals that we've seen in this entire run.
Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.